everybody. I'd like to welcome you to the Puzzle Pieces Together podcast on Monday nights. We're going to talk about a few things tonight, but I hope you guys are having a good weekend, and would like to remind you of a few things. Number one, have you been receiving any miracles? Have you been asking for them? Have you been asking God to help you, to Him to teach you something you need to understand? That's kind of the goal that I want to remind people of, is to ask the Lord to teach you if you don't understand a principle, something you need to do to help your family or your work, your life. I've been able to be a witness to that many times, including I've really learned it because of writing a book. That every morning I would wake up and I'd say, okay, God, what do you want me to write today? And sometimes He would give me information to write down, or He would tell me to research whatever. So He taught me from A to Z many principles that are in both of my books. And I did it by that way. And so I learned, well, if I can ask God about writing a book, why can't I do it in everything in my life? So if I don't understand something and I'm trying to help a client or just my life, I can go and ask the Lord to help, and He shows me things and helps me understand principles that I want to learn. So for me, He's the greatest teacher ever, but we need to remember we have to ask. And so that's why ask for miracles, because He wants to give them to you. And we can ask for those miracles for ourselves and for the world, however we want to ask, but He's there. So that's just a reminder. Another thing I was hoping that we could maybe pray about over the next few weeks is that whatever it is that seems to be over so many people, that they seem to be kind of in a fog, so to speak. They seem like there's just something that has kind of taken over the mind, and they're just, some people don't seem to be there as much as they used to, and some people just seem to be in I don't know, the best word is to call it a fog. So let's see if we can start praying that whatever brainwashing that has been done over all people, that the Lord is going to begin to intervene. And I know He is already, but to intervene and take down everything that the cabal has been doing to keep everybody under mind control. And that's going to lead into what we're going to talk about today. Excuse me just a second. So I just want to come over here so I can make sure I can see the chat. Okay, you guys are more than welcome to write in the chat anytime you would like. But what we're going to do is I'm going to share the screen, and we're going to talk about first dissociation. And the reason why I'm picking the subject is because I have people call me and they say, I don't remember my childhood, or I don't remember a lot of my childhood. And I think something happened, but I'm not sure. But I know that I have these feelings that are bad towards sex, or, I don't want to be close to my partner. I get that a lot. I get a lot of calls telling me that people, basically, they have suppressed memories that have been too traumatic to look at. So I'm going to help people understand what these tools that God gave us, but at some point they do become not helpful anymore to disassociate or to suppress memories. They turn the opposite as we get older. So let me share the screen and we'll get started. All right, hopefully everybody can see that. So I wanted to start with this one. What is disassociation? So disassociation is a tool that the Lord's given to children to survive traumas that they could not otherwise do. So disassociation literally saves the life of a person when the trauma is too big to handle. It is not a disorder, as some people have put it in that category. Dissociation becomes destructive as an adult Because if an adult continues to use dissociation as a way to escape life and the challenges and life's challenges, then you're going to begin to see problems. And I'll get into that in just a second. So the problems of dissociation: constantly leaving the body so the demons can take over, astral projecting as a way to escape leaving body, open for a takeover. The adult cannot mature and cannot handle life's problems when you are disassociating. What's the difference between suppressed memories and alters carrying memories? Suppressed memories are the mind's natural way of keeping a person alive through a trauma that's just too big. This is usually a child has learned, to do this, but it can be anyone. It can be any adult. Suppressed memories anyone can have, and the person does not have to be SRA. Suppressed memories often happen when a sexual trauma to a child occurs and that it is too much for the psyche to handle without death or insanity. So many people say they cannot remember long periods of their childhood. This is a red flag that the mind has had to file away a trauma so survival can take place. It is often a suppressed memory that keeps people going in a circle, trying everything, but nothing works. They blame the one helping them when the truth is the suppressed memory has not been found. Until it is found, the person cannot fully heal. You cannot run from yourself. If you want to be whole and healed, you must be willing to look at the truth of your life. Heal the fractured mind and let go of using disassociation as a coping mechanism to get through life. So what I'm trying to say here really is that we are given God-given tools that are awesome, and that is wonderful. And it's the way that we survived. We survived as a survivor in SRA or MK Ultra, but it can also be just an abusive home, a home where the family, there was a lot of violence, a lot of sexual trauma. This is such a way, there's different tools that God gave so you could survive. The problem lies is when the adult gets between 30, 40 years old, they begin to have a breakdown in that mind, because what was so easy as a child to set those walls is not easy anymore. And they start to have flashbacks or little creeping memories of just little pieces of a memory. And so we are going to talk about that is the natural way of somebody growing up suppressing what happened to them. So if you are someone who says, I don't remember a portion of my childhood, or I don't remember any of my childhood, the only reason why you do not remember your childhood is because of a trauma or traumas that have taken place that was too much for you to handle as a child. Because if you're a child and you have a good childhood, there's no need to disassociate, suppress memories. There's no reason for that. Those are only used as a tool by the unconscious mind and a gift from the Lord to help live through something very traumatic. So that's a number one flag for anybody who has suppressed memories. Just know that there's something there. There's another thing about suppressed memories, and that is when you've been to therapy and you've tried everything and you continuously work on the same issues over and over again, and yet they just don't seem to heal. It doesn't matter who you see, it doesn't matter what you do. It's the same issues, and it can be years, and they're not healing. Well, what that means is you are not at the right place of where the trauma is. Usually, this is the case, always, I shouldn't say always, is when we have a suppressed memory, that will be the root of a symptom of your problem in life. If you're sick and you're ill all the time, That is your body's way of saying, I have something hidden from you. I have a hidden trauma. I have a hidden memory that I want you to be aware of. This is very common in those who have chronic fatigue and those kind of issues of being tired all the time. If you're continuously working on an issue and nothing changes, it means you have not went to the root of the problem. And the root of the problem will always be the suppressed memories that you can't seem to reach. And so there's something that I have been doing lately. So when people call me and they tell me they can't remember such and such, they think they've been sexually abused, they think something's happened. Well, I do ask them a question now. And that question is, do you want to know what happened to you? Because I will help you find what happened to you. And believe it or not, the highest number of people, when I ask that question, at first they want the help, but when I ask them, I will help you find what is hidden, what has been suppressed. Do you want to know? And believe it or not, most of the people say no. And that to me is shocking, because at the end of the day, you cannot heal your life. You cannot get rid of the problems you're having until you look at the suppressed memory, because it's the suppressed memory that's the cause of your, mental issues, physical, emotional, spiritual issues. And so the very common thing is this, I can't tell you how many times people have called me about this. They think they don't remember a lot of their childhood. They don't remember being sexually abused. They don't remember any of that took place, but yet they can't have sex with their partner. They just can't be with them. Sex is disgusting to them. Well, in a healthy person who has not been sexually abused, that is not the case. If you feel disgusted and don't want to have a sexual partner with the one you love, like to have a sexual relationship with the partner you love, then there's something there. There's a red flag. Trust your intuition, because your intuition is telling you what's there, and your logic mind comes in and says, nope, that's not it. Nope, my life was great. My life was perfect. My family never did those kind of things. Well, the reason why I can say that to you guys is because I definitely said the same thing to myself until I started remembering what happened to me. I thought my family was absolutely wonderful. I was so grateful I'd never been sexually abused. And come to find out, by the time I was 30, I started remembering sexual abuse. And then it was 4 years later that I remembered the coal abuse. But that's how powerful the mind is, that the mind can lie to us. The mind, it's not lying so much as it is protecting us. So when we are being protected, the wall that goes up in our mind is to protect us from being able to look at that horrible event that took place as a child. But now, if you're an adult, those walls will come down. And they'll come down either in a good way, with you actually in control of trying to find out, or they're going to come down in a bad way. And that means all kinds of trouble in your relationships, addictions, work issues. The list is on, especially illness. Illness is always a really big one for memories that are not looked at. And we all do it in our own time, in our own way. But for those who feel they can escape their past, I've had people ask me, well, I know that I've been, an SRA survivor, but I don't want to look at what happened. Like, I have a few memories and that's enough. And isn't that enough? And I'm going to get into in a minute why that is not enough. And it will never be enough to only have a few memories with the SRA if you want to be healed. So in SRA, a fractured mind is created purposely by someone who knows what they're doing. So this will be a professional programmer who's been trained who will know exactly how the mind works, will know exactly what to do, when to do it, at what age to do it. They know how far to take someone to the place that the minds will split and create an altar or compartment that will now hold the information that was too traumatic for the core person to handle without dying. In SRA and MK Ultra, there will be downloads of demons to each split to make sure the mind does not heal itself. The splitting of the mind is for one purpose: mind control. And as you know, I'm not talking about the person who is not SRA. This is what we're going to talk about now is someone who's SRA or MK Ultra that have been put under mind control and created certain altars to carry the memories so the person can't remember. So what are the elements that go into making mind control? Number one is they are going to use a complex structure. Don't mind me, my spelling, I didn't check here. Okay, so information the mind must create for the programmer. The programmer cannot create the altars. So what I mean by that is the altars that are created by the survivor. They cannot be created by the programmer. The programmer, that programmer will do is cause a torture trauma to the point that the person will split its mind to be able to handle this. I think most of you know that if a child cannot do the splitting of their mind, they will die. They will not survive what the programmers are doing to them. And the cult doesn't want them anyway if they can't split their mind. So that's something that's done every time. And they need to understand that these programmers are not amateurs, and they know how to use the mind in the way that they want. They're testing constantly the person, if the person can create more structures in the mind for the programmer so that they can be under the mind control that they want. Okay, so another part of mind control is installed personalities. So they act as if they're a separate person to carry out the jobs required by the programmers. So these personalities, they act as they are not connected to the core self. They're completely cut off, and they're given a name, they're given a job, they carry the emotions of that trauma, they carry the memory. But they are also told that that memory and whatever they know is not to be shared with anyone else. So for those of you who might be watching and don't know what an alter is, sometimes called a part, it is a personality formed in the individual's mind during extreme abuse and torture. These parts have their own personalities, memories, and tasks. The alter can assume control of the body to fulfill the task or various other functions. So that is what the programmer is creating with mind control. The next thing they're going to use is something called objects. The mind believes they are real and acts them out in the physical, spiritual, and mental capacity of the person. An example of this would be alarm systems. You do not have a bomb or a booby trap or, any kind of something like an alarm system in your body, but your unconscious mind, because it's under mind control, believes that you do. And therefore, if it is triggered, the body will act it out. This is all in the mind. So they're going to create the objects because they want to make sure when they've got their programming in, they're going to attach what I call alarm systems, but different things they attach to make sure that if you go there, the body will act out in really bad ways. A typical way is suicide programming. You could be flooded with memories or emotions. I went too fast, sorry. Okay, the next thing is the spiritual evil. So there's 4 components to mind control, and the last one is spiritual evil. The attachments of demons and entities to keep the person and programming in place. The demons will sabotage the life of the survivor. So you can't have programming without demon attachments. You can, but the thing is that they know the demons keep everything running and in line. So they are going to attach them to their programming. So to create a new alter or personality of the chaos of the mind control, the mind is, this is from someone else, so this is their quote. The mind is faced with a situation in which chaos threatens to prevent the mind from functioning. The mind understands that something cannot be true and false at the same time. The alternatives are to shut down, shut out, escape into fantasy, or to survive by creating a new frame of reference in which the sensory data can be perceived as normal. Within this new frame of reference, the overwhelming experience becomes normal, but must be kept separated from the original frame of reference so the two worlds do not collide. So the mind has to find a way to take the chaos the programmers are creating in the cult and to make it normal. And they need alters to be able to take that and act as if it's just a normal reality. It separates the frame of reference with barriers within the mind. The barriers or walls may be dissociative walls or amnesic walls. So let's see. When a new personality is created, the mind places or locates these personalities within the convolutions of the frontal cerebral cortex. Okay, those that invented mind control discovered that these alters can be artificially placed on the surface of the cerebral cortex with a small voltage electrical stimulus applied of the dura of the brain. The advantage of knowing where the personality resides is that the electrical stimulation of the same places force the personality to take executive control over the body and speak their name. So I'm just sharing what they're doing with alters and how they can control them. Neural pathways are created between each personality and rest of the brain, so each alter can take over. The brain changes when different alters take control. So does the body. The body will change according to the brain changing. That's why when you test let's say a personality and that switches into a different personality, that personality's heartbeat might be really fast. That part might feel enormous amount of energy, excitement, and then when it switches over to a different personality, the heartbeat could go really slow, really tired. There's a change in the physical being as well as in the mind. And many alters, when they need to do the specific jobs for the programmers in the cult, they will have different ways of handling it, and everything changes. So how they can kind of control as well is they have demons, and they have a lot of demons that will dominate the alters, and they will dominate them through fear. Then they will download the many illusions and lies. And the one thing that you have to understand, if a download of demons have been connected to an alter, the alter cannot see the demon's true form. The alter will see the demon as a friend, as someone that they don't want to get rid of. And every single time that I work with a client and we go and we say, okay, we're going to have the Lord take off the illusions and the lies of the demon so that the alter can see the true self of the demon, they're horrified every single time because the demon tries to make themselves look like a friend, someone that loves them, cares about them, because they know, the demons know, that they still can't stay attached to them unless they're having permission. So they need the alters to be on board to let them stay. So that's why we have to go through, when we're going through integration, you have to realize that there are demons that have to be removed from them. They can't just be integrated. They have to be able to Yeah, you're going to have to talk to, I don't know if I'm getting ahead of myself, but when you're trying to work with altars who you want to integrate, it's important to look at a few things. More than likely, the beginning of integration is going to be the lower altars, a lot of children altars, because they're more willing to talk and help. But the higher the altar goes and more loyal to Lucifer, they are going to be more difficult to talk to and to integrate. But how this works is you're going to want the negotiation process to start between altars. And the quickest that you can is you're going to want to get to the leaders of the altars, because those leaders control a couple hundred or more altars behind them. And so sometimes I do a few things to see if the leader will come out and talk, because I know if that altar can be converted to basically getting to not being loyal to Lucifer anymore, and they see the truth of what has happened to them, then you can pull an enormous amount of altars all at the same time. It's all a process. It's all a lot of negotiating, and it's a lot of you can't push altars to integrate. You can't push them at all. But what you can do is heal them. You can help them see the truth. You can help them see who Jesus Christ truly is. And you can start to really get them to understand that Lucifer lied to them, that his love is torture and pain, and that Jesus Christ's love is the opposite. And there's going to be a lot of having to help them see the opposite, because they think Jesus is the bad guy and Lucifer's the good guy. These Lucifer loyal altars. Let's see. So in SRA, there's going to be a lot of downloads of demons, and it's really relied on by the programmers, so the mind cannot heal itself. One of the well-known ways that SRA survivors go through is near-death experiences. I'm sure if you understand all of that, you will know that every SRA survivor, MK Ultra survivor, has gone through many near-death experiences. One of the purposes is that it will implant more deeply the information in the subconscious and download the demons. Now, what happens instead, at least it did for me, is that when they are trying to do this near-death experience, they know how far they can take a person to let them die just long enough to do this quick download, and excuse me, then they bring him back. Well, what happened to me is every time that they did that, I was strengthened by the Lord on the other side, because when I died, my spirit went to that place where the Lord, I don't consciously remember everything, but he strengthened my spirit. And at some level of me, when they kept telling me over and over these lies, that higher part of me that they can't destroy knew that they were lying. And so instead of them getting something deeper, they were showing me that Jesus Christ truly lived, and that the Lord was strengthening me with information of how to survive. And whatever he told me, I don't know. But I remember that I was 16 years old and I started trying to search out Jesus and to understand who he really was, because everything they taught me at a subconscious level, I knew wasn't true, but I didn't know where the truth was. And so that was kind of a life journey, which I guess I'm still on. But so one of the times that they did this near-death experience to me, I was 15, and I feel like the Lord warned me that what they were going to do was going to take a part of me and trade it and try to attach something that was very evil to replace a part of me. And I don't know how to explain that to you, except if you're a survivor, you know. And that it wouldn't work, even though it would appear to be bad. So I want everybody to understand that there is a part of us that they can't harm, touch, change, or break. People call it by different names. So I'm going to go through that before I get into sharing. Amanda Bice calls it neshama, which I don't think I spelled correctly. Another professional calls it the image of God. But it looks kind of like this. In the little orange is that place that they can't reach. So they cover it up. What this place is it's what God created. It's you. It's the true you that's always been, that will always be. Even when no matter what they did to you, they can't get to this, and they know that. So they try to cover it up from the very beginning in the womb, and even before the conception. They try to cover the true you up. Now, this part, if you can see the wire part, is the unconscious. And the unconscious, subconscious is the biggest part of our mind. Now, this outer rim is only the conscious level. So as you can tell, that's not going to give us the ability to handle too much information. And here, what they can, and this is the part I can't say for sure, but it's close enough. This represents the spirit or the soul, and both of these do. I've always thought the soul was the place that God created, but I'm happy to say the soul, but because I'm a little confused on listening to a few people what they're saying, I'm just going to go with the knowing that I have, which is I know that there is a place inside that they can't hurt, they cannot harm, they cannot break, they cannot change, they cannot lie, they cannot do anything to. And that's what I want everyone to remember, is that is you. That is who God created, and they can't do a dang thing about it. All they can do is lie their butts off by creating altars, downloading demons, telling you all these things in programs. Those are all lies and illusions, and they can be taken off of your mind so that you're not deceived any longer. So what I'm understanding, and it's making sense because of some of the principles I teach, is that the reason why we need to look at our spirit and our mind for healing is because they can be wounded. So I shared with you, there's a place in us that cannot be hurt, but there is places in us that can be. And those places are what the cult will go after. And that is our spirit can be attached to demons. Our mind can be programmed to be put in false information for the physical being to act out. If I understand this correctly, the soul is more connected to who you truly are and your core relationships with other people, like a child and their mother, the child and their father. Those are core relationships. And you can have core woundedness in your soul. All of that can be healed. Okay, so don't look at it as anything that happened to you cannot be healed, because that's not true. So sometimes in this healing process, I've had several people say that prayer is all you need, and that's enough. And I wish it really truly was the truth, but it's not. Prayer, we can't get healed without it, but there's a two-part thing, and that is that there must be not only the prayer, but you have to remove the mind control programming, right? So we have spirit and we have mind, and we must heal the mind by removing the programming, and the spirit must be healed by the true Lord Jesus Christ, and prayer by the woundedness that has taken place, because all of this acts as a whole. So our body, our mind, our spirit, and our soul, they all act as one. And we have to understand inside of us what can be wounded and how do we heal that. So there is a very big portion of understanding the programming. And I'll get into that in a second. I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay. If there's anybody that wants to ask any questions, go ahead. So okay, so I said that already. Let me go do this. All right, I basically have said that the SRA and MK Ultra survivors must look at the spiritual side of what programmers have done, because they fool you and they want to tell you that, if the Disney programs are everything, the computer, the hourglass, all these things, that's the true programming. And if you focus on that, like I did, you will go in circles your whole entire life and not get free. That's what the programmers want, because those are the front programming. They are not the spiritual programming. Okay. Now the spiritual programming is a lesson taught in your mind, but how they overcome certain areas is they can reach your spirit by building Lucifer's kingdom inside you spiritually, and at the same time create altars that are loyal to Lucifer, and to believe in the mind that these things are the truth. And that's why we have to, as a survivor, address the spiritual programming that is done. You must find Lucifer's kingdom and all the loyal altars that they created. I'm sorry to say that most survivors have never addressed what has been so cleverly hidden. And the truth is most survivors, I had someone get very angry at me when I said that they were a very big Christian, and they said, I told them, well, you still have to address the loyal Lucifer altars, loyal to Lucifer. And they lost their mind, because they said, no way, that is not in me, because I'm a Christian, I follow Christ. There's no way I have these loyal altars. And the thing is I have to be very firm in this. If you are a satanic ritual survivor or an MK Ultra survivor, you've been in the Freemasons, Illuminati, fertility cults, I promise you, you have loyal altars and a whole foundation that is loyal to Lucifer, because that is what the programmers are truly about. It isn't about Disney. It isn't about the computer. It isn't about the hourglass. It's not about those things. It is that they want to steal the souls of Jesus Christ and God the Father and bring them to Lucifer. And they start this in the womb. Sometimes they start it before conception, but they do start it at conception. And they begin to download unbelievable evil that existed in this world. And they take that energy and they download it into the child before conception. And in the womb, they're continuously adding demonic influence. They're building this core foundation, of which you guys already know that I've talked a million times about, the tree of death. They're building, building, building. It's like this part of you that is to never be addressed, found, hidden, or destroyed. And they started in the womb. And they know most survivors will never, ever go there. And I think that is been the case. I am praying that we will all begin to understand the truth of what the programming they've done, so that this will no longer be the case. But you have to understand, and I'm sorry listen, I understand the pain of what I just said, because I came to Christ in a way that, like, I started searching out things at a very young age, but I thought because I was doing certain things that Jesus wanted me to do, there's no way any of this could have happened to me. And then why did it happen to me? Because I'm following Jesus. And then, I mean, in the beginning, I didn't even know. All I remembered was the torture of the cults. That's all I remembered. And then it kept gradually adding to different groups and all that crap. But the thing that was interesting is that I never did I ever remember anything about any demonic influence, demonic attachments, even though I had a million. Neither did any professional tell me that I had demonic influence, demonic attachments. So they were right there to keep everything, just didn't matter what I did to destroy it. The demons were right there keeping it all in line. Because guess what? I didn't look at the main foundation of my programming, and that was the loyal to Lucifer kingdom and what that entails. And you guys have my books and you know that. So you have to understand that we're dealing with a spiritual thing that can affect our spirit, because we are a spirit, and they can attach the demons to our spirit. It's spirit to spirit. And they want to take over our spirit, the light that you have, they want to take it over to the darkness. And that is done gradually, because they know that a child is not going to go to do these bad things. And that's why the children, when they're made to do bad things, feel very guilty and very ashamed, because they don't want to hurt an animal. They don't want to hurt a person. That's not who their soul is, who they truly are. But gradually, more and more as the years go by, Satan gets to take a little bit more of them, and a little bit more of them, and a little bit more of them. It is my belief at some point, I think the Lord does give every SRA survivor an opportunity to say, I don't want Satan, I don't want Lucifer, even though I've been taught that my whole life. And some people, unfortunately, as we all know, do not take that opportunity to go to Christ. They go to Satan and they stay there, and that's kind of what I'm thinking is when they become consciously aware, is whenever they have that chance to choose. Let's see. So the one thing that I seem to feel that some people don't understand what I'm saying sometimes, and so I need to ask you a question. Do you really believe that the programming you have inside is all unorganized and they just do whatever they want? And you've got a Sleeping Beauty here, and you got a computer over here. I'm just saying, I don't want to say too many to trigger people. You have a Disney here, and you have that. Oh, and if you pick this and that, you're removing stuff. I mean, you got to think about this. How organized is the Illuminati? How organized are the Freemason? Do you honestly believe that there could be a worldwide mind control system of millions of people and this not be organized? Do you honestly believe that your programming is different from somebody else? You may have different jobs, but you have to have what they need you to have in order to stay organized and keep control of all those under mind control. So let's see. The truth is that they have a very organized, systematic way that penetrates, controls, and uses the spirit, mind, soul, and physical body together. They know this information. They get experts to help them. In the Illuminati and Freemasons cult, learn what to do by being taught by demons and using experts in the field of the mind, body, and spirit. So when they go in to mess with your mind, they mess with your spirit, they torture your body. It all works together. But they all know one thing. They know there's a place in you they can't do anything with. So they will use everything they have in all their mind control programming to cover it up, so you never find who you truly are. So I've been pondering a few things lately, you guys, and I have to say, I'm finding some interesting things that I need to ask God, or maybe I'll learn through different ways. But I find it interesting that certain people who have, well, I would just say people that come out with SRA information, they stay focused on the torture, the abuse, the sex, and the trafficking. They don't talk about the spiritual side of the programming. And I find that curious. I find that interesting that people are not speaking on the true core foundation of the mind control programming, because the true programming is not the torture, and it's not the abuse, it's not the sex, and it's not the trafficking. So I find that interesting. And another question I have been asking, I find very interesting, is I find it curious that no real information has been given to the public about mothers of darkness. If the people mention this info, it's very vague and mostly taken from one resource, and that has been over the last 20 years. I have had a couple people try to research and find, and there are people that talk on it, but they don't talk on it thoroughly of what really that is. And a lot of the information comes from one resource that was over 20 years ago. I find that curious. I find that interesting. And I find that that is to keep all of us in the dark of information so that they can keep the mind control rolling. The one thing that I would like to share, I don't know why I'm getting emotional about this, but everything the Lord has taught me, which has been an enormous amount, is he said, unless you remove the kingdom of Lucifer all along with the programming, then the demons can be, it's the only way to remove the demons permanently. Because if you say a prayer, the demons will leave. But if they have legal right, because of the programming still there, they will come back. If you want to have the demons gone forever, you have to get rid of what they have legal right to you for. And that will be the programming that has been placed inside. The idea that survivors are free based on recalling memories is false. Wait a minute. Let me think of what I meant by this. The idea that survivors are... Oh, okay. So again, I should have checked everything. The idea that survivors are free based on they've recalled some memories is false. You're not free if you have memories of your SRA or MKUltra or any of the cult groups. And I'll tell you why. Because the memories are not the programming, and they are not the demons' attachments. There will be some there will be some trauma work that you have to work on, I believe, but that is after everything. Because I have learned that when you remove the mind control programming, a lot of the trauma is gone as well, because the altars are healed in you. So there's not a lot to heal. That's why I go for removing programming first, so you can get rid of the demons and the integration. And then if there's still some trauma work that has to be done after that, that's the best use of your time. Okay, and let's see. So to be free, a survivor must remove the spiritual core foundation of Lucifer's kingdom. You must remove the programming, you must remove the demons, and integration of all altars, and the altars that are loyal to Lucifer. So that it takes care of that. Let me see here. I'm going to stop the share. Okay, so I wanted to share some information on these topics because I get so many phone calls that people are asking, and they don't understand why they feel a certain way, or why things aren't changing, and why things aren't healing. And, you know, most people know that I spent like close to, I don't know, 25, 30 years, whatever it's been, you know, on this healing journey. And I know that we'll always heal certain things throughout our life. But I feel sometimes angry. I don't feel it as much anymore, but sometimes I feel angry of all the money I spent and all the people I went to for help who couldn't help me. And how when I did find a couple at the end, we worked on things that didn't matter. And we never went to the places that were so important to heal. And it makes me mad that I wasted some of my life, even though it's not a waste. I know I learned and grew and everything, but so much of my life could have, I would just say, be more healed if we had the truth, and we have the truth in the community of survivors and therapists that and professionals who are trying to help. Because right now, I know without a doubt the cabal has, in the Freemasons, Illuminati, the fertility cults, the witches and everything, they've all made sure that survivors stay dumbed down, and they make sure that even if you try to get help, it's going to be real minimal. They don't have too much to worry about, because they know that what's allowed in the therapist teaching is what is absolutely not going to heal you. And so I feel that it's important as a community that we begin to work together and finding the truth, instead of being stuck on a certain view. And this is, I'm not trying to be negative in any way, but I do feel like we need to share things of solutions more than all the torture stories. I know people need to share, and some people need to hear, and I'm not saying that. But we also, as a community, need to start figuring out the solutions of freedom. And that's really about tonight's podcast. Is I know when we pray and we ask the Lord to teach us what can we do to get free, I can't tell you how many things the Lord has taught me on this subject by just simply asking him a direct question on a specific thing. I have gotten a specific answer, and he has never not answered me. Never. He has answered me every time. He has shown me, taught me, and sometimes it is a process. But what would happen if all of us did that? What would happen if we all started going to God and said, okay, we know certain facts are facts, and we need to heal fast, because we're in a time in history that we don't have years to do mind control removal. But if we know certain facts, that to get free, we have to remove Lucifer's kingdom, the spiritual side. We need to remove the programming out of our mind, and we have to remove the demons. Okay, well, we know those are facts. And now I feel like the Lord showed a map through my book too. It's a book, it's a map on how to focus on just the core events and the core altars. And it will bring up every single thing you need to get free, and pull your mind back together and integrate your altars. But what I would love help with, and of course, I would love help with anything, but I would love a community who is out there saying, you know what, Laura, God showed a map, and now how can we do this faster? How can we take what God's showing us? How can we remove it faster? How can we learn more solutions to getting people free quickly? Dwelling on the torture and abuse is not going to get you free, but I know in the beginning you need to do that. But if it's been years and years and you're still focusing on that, it's time for solutions to get free. And so I hope I didn't upset anybody too badly, but I do feel what I said, and I didn't, I feel what I said, and I just feel that's where our community falls down, is because we are not focused on solutions, and we are focused on the problem instead of how do we get free. And if you can't get free, then you'll always be in that following in the circle, and then they're always going to be happy, the programmers, the cult, because they won. And I, for one, am sick of them winning. So I hope that what I shared tonight can help you. My intention is having a lot of different people on the show, but I have made a goal this year that I don't want to I don't care if somebody comes on and shares their story, but I want to focus on solutions. And that's what my podcast is going to be, is ideas, thoughts, solutions to freedom for everyone, because our society isn't free either. And so that's what I feel like. If we changed our perspective, I think we will be living a much different life. And the thing at the end of the day, I know is a fact, is that survivors are incredibly intelligent and they are incredibly powerful, and they know, and that's the funny thing of all of this, every single survivor knows how to defeat them inside because they know what they did to them. They know their secrets. So why in the world would a survivor not know how to defeat them and get themselves free? Well, they would, but they need help sometimes to understand what's inside of them. That was the biggest problem I had, is I didn't know what was inside of me and what they had done to me. Okay, guys, any questions? Haven't seen any live chats. So I think that is what I'm going to end the podcast with is I will see you next week. I'm going to have a guest for the next couple of weeks, and we are going to talk on some really good topics, but we're bringing solutions to help those who really do want to change their life and get free. So I hope you guys have an amazing week, and don't forget, you can ask for your miracles and you can ask for your help. So take care.